What's going on, casters? Dylan from Pandito Gaming here, back with another video. And this time, we're going to go through and rank all of the Elestrals sets, sealed product, all the way from Kickstarter through the most recent Ascended Caster kit for Ethereal. Now, for this activity, I'm going to go through and rank things based on investability. I'm going to be focused primarily on the sealed product itself. We're not going to go into the individual singles, and if you were to open things, we're also not going to think of it in terms of what I think the best art is or the most collectible sets, although that will play a part in deciding whether we think things are investable or not. Keep in mind, these are my opinions. These are things that I have kind of thought of, the information that I've discovered, that I've done with research, my experiences opening these sets are the things that I'm putting into this. You make your own decisions when it comes to your own personal investments and decisions to open sets. If you all like this, I might make a version where I just talk about what I prefer to open myself personally. While that's definitely a key part of this, there are a lot of sets that I really enjoy opening that I would never invest in or am not interested in it right now. This is also in terms of the fact that we're talking in July 2026. We are considering things at the current market price that you can access these. We're thinking in terms of like wide access, not like you can get a niche dark corner alley deal for things. This is assuming you're paying roughly what other people are paying on a consistent basis. Um, if you're interested in doing this with me, if you want to share screenshots or show your version of it, I'm going to include the link to the template in the description of the video. So feel free to go along with me, or if not, leave comments. Let me know how you would fill this out differently. Do you think that I'm too high or too low on a set? Do you think it's stupid that I'm investing into this stuff at all? Sound off. Let me hear about it. So without any further ado, we'll jump in. Now we're going to go chronologically through these. So obviously we're going to start with the Kickstarter set. The Kickstarter set is one that I have the most fond memories of. I bought this so much when it first came out. I opened it nonstop. My original set of boxes, I opened every single thing of. I was personally trying to hunt for my very first stellar, my very first serialized stellar. They didn't have reverse stellars back then. Um, and I told myself I'm gonna buy in sets of 3 and 6, and I'm just gonna hold on to these until I open a stellar, and then I'll hold on to all the rest of it. Spoiler alert: I went through my first 24 boxes and pulled absolutely no serialized stellars. Then I bought more boxes on top of that. I did finally pull a serialized stellar. I got an Equilink. This is my first serialized stellar ever. But I decided to open all the rest of the boxes and didn't get another. That said, at this point right now, I would say in wide availability, you're probably looking at about $150 for this box. When we're thinking of S tier, A tier sets, we're thinking, hey, is this something that could reasonably go up 20, 30% in a year and consistently do that? For the S tier, you're thinking even more than that in the short term. I personally think Kickstarter has a lot of legs to move. It's been sitting in that 100 to 150 range for a couple of years, and it is really the first time right now that you're seeing some weakness in the supply on the market. eBay has maybe 20 or 30 of these left in stock. There is almost nothing on TCG Player, and you almost never see marketplace listings for this. I do think this could be considered a higher level rating if you were to buy at a lower price. I mentioned in a previous video that I bought somewhere around 50 boxes earlier this year at 125 each. I think the market is mostly dry on the super cheap versions of these, but maybe you could get some people out of the woodworks. But I'm going to rate this based on assuming you're paying a market price of around 150. Because of that, I think we're probably in the A tier. I think if you paid 150 by this time next year, I would expect that you could probably get somewhere around 180 or 200 for this, because I just think there's not a lot of these left out there. There were only 10,000 boxes originally printed. Thousands of those were opened within the first couple months of its existence. The people who bought hundreds of boxes who are willing to sell these for less are starting to dry up. And while I do think there are people with one, two, three, a case worth of 6 boxes in their closets who would sell if this went up, I think the vast majority of people who are just looking to dump these as soon as possible are almost gone. And we're going to start seeing this box start to appreciate in value as more new people come in and they want to try out the original Kickstarter set. And as people play Awakened and they get nostalgic for those original sets and want to try to open one of the boxes. Now, next up, we're getting into first edition. First edition base, I think, is always going to be hard capped by the state of Kickstarter because Kickstarter is sitting in the 150 range. I think right now you're not going to see this box go anywhere near $100. I don't think Shop Elestrals is going to run out of stock anytime soon. But once those Kickstarter boxes start going up, I think potentially you could see a movement in first edition base. If you had jumped on this 6 months, 9 months ago, you could have found these boxes very easily around the $60 to $70 mark. They're now sitting around the $80 to $90 mark. I don't like that as an investment right now. I do think this could be a potential play next year, assuming Kickstarter starts moving. I think first edition base could see some movement in it. I personally am putting this in the D tier because even though it is one of the higher quality sets, there were no significant production issues with it. Obviously, the batching is something, how the packs kind of sit. You can pretty much tell where the hits of the packs are going to be. That same thing is true with Kickstarter and with Frostfall. Daybreak runs into that a little bit as well, but for the most part, I think despite that, it's still a pretty good opening experience. You can still chase different stellars that are in the Kickstarter edition. I just think, like I said, why would you buy the first edition base for 120 if you can get Kickstarter for 150 and things are just worth significantly more coming out of that box? So I would say you don't expect it to move soon, but it's something, long term you can keep an eye on. Next up is Frostfall. I've made it very clear this is an F tier set. The main reason is because Elestrals themselves are selling these boxes below wholesale cost on their own website 100% of the time. I don't think you're going to find these boxes below what you would need to buy them at in order to sell them, to make people want to buy them from you instead of buying them directly from Elestrals. You would need to get the boxes sub $50, right? Between shipping and fees, unless you can find these for sub $50, you're not going to make any money on it until that sale runs out. And that sale could go on for a year for all we know. For now, I am not looking at this box at all. I have no thoughts towards it in any way. It is the worst possible thing you can put your money into unless you're chasing the Stellar Cryo Scorch, which, statistically speaking, that's a pretty bad investment too, but it's a fun lottery ticket if nothing else. Hey guys, future Dylan jumping in here because past me is about to review the Daybreak and Moonrise booster boxes. And in the time since I recorded this and I'm uploading it, there was an announcement that Daybreak is going on half price BOGO sale, along with the revelation that there were 25,000 copies of the Daybreak booster box printed originally during its initial run. Now, that has not been publicized before to my knowledge, and the BOGO changes a lot about how I feel about the Daybreak booster box. Now, I want to keep the original ranking and explanation in here for posterity's sake because I still think it's relevant to talk through and for people to understand the thought process of how I thought about Daybreak just less than a week before the announcement that it was going to go half price. I explained that I think because it's finally hitting its stride and able to sell at a good price that people can actually buy from wholesale and sell it, that will change the perception of it and it will start becoming a more and more popular box. I still think that would have happened had they not done this sale or done it differently. I just wanted to put out there, jump in and say, hey, I understand this is now an F tier set. There is no reason to buy Daybreak if you're a collector or a reseller. I mentioned it in my reaction video last week about this because I posted that the day after the announcement went up. So just know the rest of this video will be referring to Daybreak before the announcement to cut the price in half on Shop Elestrals. And while I do love the set, it's a great set. It's one of the best quality sets that we've had so far. Because of that announcement, it's completely changed my perception of it. It is exactly where Frostfall and Livestream is. It's probably at the top of the F tier, and I think it has a lot of long-term investor potential after the 13 or so thousand boxes get sold out. I think because it's going on this big sale, only people who open it are really going to be buying it for the most part. So while it could be an investment long term, it probably takes years for these boxes to be flushed out unless there's some kind of a significant change in the market. So that's all I got. I'm going to pass it on back to Pass Dylan for the rest of the video. I talked about Daybreak and Moonrise in my sealed investment video just a little bit ago. I think this is something that has been surprising to most people. Most people thought that Daybreak and Moonrise, which I'll kind of clump them together for this, that they were not going to move anywhere, that they would just be stuck at that $70-$60 price tag for forever. The funny thing is, all the people on the market who were just sitting on these, they've been bought up. They've suddenly vanished. There's not very many people looking to get rid of 15, 20, 30 of these boxes because most of the Elestrals sellers have not been buying these at wholesale because they're just not able to turn them for a profit. And because nobody's been buying them, nobody's been trying to desperately get rid of them because they need money. So the fact that the market is drying up, you will see these boxes sell between 80 and 90 consistently for a while. And if that is true and people still choose to buy these, you're going to see people being able to buy from wholesale and sell these for a couple dollars profit. Now, it's kind of sad that it took us, multiple years to get to the point where a store could just buy this box and make any money off of it. But that's kind of what it's come to, right? Many stores have either had to buy it off of the secondary market to find people selling these for $50 so that they can sell it for just a little bit more to what people would be willing to pay for it. I think you've seen some traction on both Moonrise and Daybreak at that $70-$80 mark. So I see these continuing to stick around that price. No one's going to be able to get these cheaper. Now you might see a BOGO happen on Elestral's website, similar to Frostfall, if they decide they want to do that. I'm not sure that they're that desperate to move those boxes, but short of a sale coming along, I think you're going to be able to consistently sell these boxes in the $80 to $90 range. And if you have wholesale or distribution access and they have these boxes for $60 to $75 or something in that range, it's probably worth picking up and being able to sell between that $80, $100 mark so that you can just make a very slow profit off of that. So, long term, a year from now, eventually wholesale will sell out, and these will start pushing that $120, $130 mark that's in the Shop Elestral site, and then you can actually make some real money on it. I don't think now is a play to do that. You should not be buying these expecting to sell them for a 30% profit in 8 months. But I do think that these will start moving up, and maybe this time next year they could be in the about to take off category. Now, Firestorm is my personal favorite set. I love the arts and the Elestrals in here, but that's not the topic of this video, so we won't go into that. Firestorm is one of the few products that is almost sold out on Shop Elestrals. Right now, I think they're down to maybe like 100 or 200 boxes. I could be out of date. This was from a few weeks ago. But there's not a lot of these left. The Elestrals wholesale does not have many of these left. And if you look out on the market, there are still a few stray $65, $70 listings. But for the most part, they've dried up. You're looking at $80 or $90 for these boxes consistently. I do think Firestorm will be pushing the $100 mark by the end of the year. I think for sure by its first anniversary date, we will see Firestorm consistently selling over 80, pushing $100. I do think that this is one of the better sets. It has good quality. This was one of the only sets that had no significant manufacturing issues. You haven't heard me say that a lot. A lot of these sets have had issues, and I think people have been willing to open this set. They changed their strategy a lot, and pushed a lot of packs out in other avenues outside of the booster boxes. There were more starter decks created. There were more avenues for people to get packs. And I think this was one of the boxes that still had 36 packs in it, which a lot of people are still latching on to that. And it still gets people excited because this was the last set that had 36 packs in it. I think that will help it do well. Um, I do think it probably fits into the top of the wholesale for right now. I would not recommend that you go out and buy this at 80 or 85. But if you can find it between 60 and 75, maybe 80, but I'm thinking a year from now you will probably see 20% gains on that. And maybe here in the next 6 months, it could move up into the A tier for me. Live stream, I've talked about as well. It goes directly into the F tier. It's probably above Frostfall right now, just because I think you could find people willing to sell this for $40, and you could find people willing to pay $55 or $60 for it. That's literally the only reason it's above Frostfall. If Elestrals did the half off sale for Livestream, I would be in the exact same opinion, and I personally prefer Frostfall to Livestream. I like the set better, just from a personal perspective. Um, but Livestream does not have a lot going for it because of all the manufacturing issues. It was the first American manufactured set, and that did not go over well because of the quality of the cards. The drop to 24 packs scared a lot of people when they first were selling these, and a lot less people bought on launch. This was something that, they gave away as part of the Awakened Kickstarter, and they're still sitting on thousands of boxes of this. So I don't think this is moving anytime soon. If you want to get a little bit to put away, if you can find them for $30 or $40, I mean, it's not a huge sink, but I don't think you're going to see it hit $120 in the next year. Probably not even 2 years, would be my guess. Sunstrike, I think, is a really good contender to pass Firestorm in potential. I think the way they distribute it was very interesting, where a lot more product went to LGSs than stayed in the Shop Elestrals environment. The original stock for Sunstrike in Shop Elestrals was significantly less. So it is sold out in Shop Elestrals. It's the first set in a long time to sell out on Shop Elestrals, but I think that's kind of misleading. I think there's still boxes of this sitting in distributors' warehouses right now that just haven't been picked up. Now, that said, the distributors will normally sell these for less than the wholesale program for Elestrals will. So that could lead to these boxes staying a little bit lower in the shorter term. I do think it is as good of a set as Firestorm from an Elestrals and pack opening experience perspective. There was the issue with the Divine packs that really kind of put a damper on some of the excitement, but I don't think it kills everything for it. I do think this is something where you definitely, if you have wholesale access and you can get these, or if you find them on eBay or TCG Player or on Discords for that $60 to $70 range, I think it's worth picking up. But I do still like Firestorm more, partially because the 36 packs, the fact that less of it went to distribution, and so prices are not going to be pushed down by the LGSs as long, and because I think the printing errors show a little bit of weakness there. The fact that Firestorm is also significantly older and has had more time to sit in the market, I think is a big help too. I do love both Sunstrike and Firestorm, but I personally put Firestorm a little bit above where I put Sunstrike. Now, getting into Shattered Stars, I will caveat this with the fact that because we're talking about market prices now and how you can get these, this is going to be much less fair for one set than the others. Specifically talking about Shattered Stars 1, you can't find these on the market. And when you do, they will cost you over $10 a pack. There are maybe in the hundreds of packs for the whole thing sitting out there that people might sell. I think if you went to somebody and offered $40 a bundle, you could get multiple of these. You definitely could get people coming out of the woodworks who'd be willing to let these go for that. But we're talking about investment, right? If you spend $30 a bundle or $40 a bundle, are you expecting these packs to hit $50 or $60 a bundle at any point? I'm not sure, right? The value inside probably won't push that. Maybe super duper long term. I'm not thinking in terms of 5 to 10 years when I talk about indie TCGs. So for me, unfortunately, even though Shattered Stars 1 is one of my favorite sets of all time, it is unfortunately in the only buy this if you can get a deal. Now, if you can find packs for $20 each, great. Buy them up. I know you can flip them for $30 pretty easily. But $20 or like you're not going to find many, if anybody, willing to sell it for that. If people are even looking to sell at all. Shattered Stars 2, I made a whole video about this. If you didn't watch it, it's an S tier. If it's still in stock on Shop Elestrals and it's in Shattered Stars 2, you should just buy it. Because of the SS BOGO that now seems to be relatively permanent until Shattered Stars 2 sells out, you can get packs for $4.16 each. And that is such an amazing deal. Just opening the packs, it's worth more than that. But I'm very confident that SS BOGO will cause Shattered Stars 2 to go out of stock this calendar year. And if that is true and that happens, each of these sets that goes out of stock, you should be able to fetch at least $7 a pack, if not more. I would say you're probably going to be looking at $10 a pack, similar to Shattered Stars 1, where once it's out of stock, people are the MSRP for them is $25. You're doing them a favor selling them at that price because they missed out originally. Now, obviously, you're getting it for half price, so that helps a lot. But it still works, right? It's a cheat code, but if you can buy Shattered Stars 2 right now and you're looking to make an investment for 6 to 24 months, I'm very confident that you'll be able to sell this for at least a 50% net gain, compared to the $12.50 per 3-pack price that you're going to pay. And some of these also come with promos as well. And it's interesting that so many people aren't targeting the ones that come with promos, but it's not the point. Shattered Stars 2, easily the best sealed investment you can make right now because of the current prices. Ethereal, it technically hasn't come out, but I'm including it on here because we have the full set list. We know what's going on with it for the most part. There's still some unknowns around pull rates. It sounds like the Ethereal Spirits are somewhere between 1 out of 3 and 1 out of 5 packs. I kind of predicted a 1 out of 4 ratio when I was doing my breakdown of it before. I think that's probably about where they landed on it. And because of that, I'm expecting these things to be in demand. Now, there's still a very good question about print run. We know how they distributed it. It's already sold out on Shop Elestrals, so you're not going to see those half off deals. We're still going to be looking to see what happens over the release month, and especially after the map contract ends. So if this releases, which we still don't have the official shipping date yet, let's pretend that this releases August 31st. You want to put a calendar reminder for yourself for November 1st, because that'll be the day after map expires, and ask, are people selling this at $30, $35, or $40, that distribution cost range. I think of all the things, I would put this at the very top of the buy wholesale, because if you find people selling it at that, it's either because stores are just dumping whatever they have, or sellers are panicking and wanting to get rid of it. But I'm very confident that worst case scenario, you open these boxes and you'll at least get wholesale costs, right? Look at the EV breakdown. You can definitely make up, if you're only paying $4 a pack, you can easily make that value up. Especially if you're willing to hold the cards a little bit to make sure that they sell for a higher price. So this is kind of my breakdown here. I do think this will change pretty recently. This changed because of the SS BOGO. I think a lot of these sets in the last 6 months have gone up. So I'll probably revisit this at the end of the year and see if I still think that this is the same state that I would rate it then. But I do think in the short term, Shattered Stars 2, an amazing investment. And Kickstarter is the closest one behind that because it's starting to dry up. And if you can find a good deal, I think it will go up next year significantly. Of the other sets, I think Ethereal, Firestorm, Sunstrike are your biggest leaders of actually being able to be the first things to break $100 consistently and maybe go over MSRP. That would be very interesting to see that. We've not had a mainline set do that. And I think Daybreak and Moonrise are finally in the state where sellers can actually make money off of buying them at wholesale, which just hasn't been true. So we'll see if that starts to churn through value in those boxes and maybe starts pushing those up towards MSRP as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this. What are your thoughts? Do you have critiques? Do you hate my list? Would you flip it upside down? Let me know. I might make a version of this of just my personal enjoyment of each set because it does not match this really much at all. And I'm actually curious how I would rate some of this stuff. Let me know if that's something that interests you. If you like this kind of content, I am making a video every day for the first month that I'm on YouTube. We're about a third of the way there. So we still got plenty of content still coming. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if that's something you want to check out. Appreciate you guys for listening and watching. I'm out.